3, 2, 1. Alrighty, everyone. Welcome back to another Drive and Talk. And yes, today I'm in a different car. It's actually my brother's car. And the reason why I'm in my brother's car is for a very specific reason. I told him I want to do a Drive and Talk regarding driving stick shift, how I started driving stick shift. And I said, the dudes in the comment sections are really good about letting me know, hey, you're driving an automatic. So anyway, so he was kind enough to let me borrow his manual car. Pretty nice car, by the way. Thank you, Danny. And I'm so grateful that I have him to be able to let me borrow the manual car since I don't have a manual car. And I'm so grateful for the fact that the camera cannot pick up all this smelling sounds from the clutch, because it's been a while since I haven't driven manual. And yes, I gotta make sure it's in neutral. But anyways, yeah. So let's take you guys back. So, like I mentioned, my first car that I really wanted was a 98 to 01 or 02 Civic, and I wanted a manual. I didn't want the SI version because I just couldn't afford it, but I definitely wanted a manual. So anyways, I went through the dealership with my stepdad, and once we went all around the lot, they didn't have a manual. They had a sedan, a sedan manual. I got into the driver's side, I saw 3 pedals, and I got scared. I was like, what do you do with the what do you do with the other pedal? You know, I only have 2 feet, you know. So long story short, I end up asking them about jacking. I said, hey, you know, what about that Accord, blah, blah, blah. I noticed that it was automatic, so I wasn't stupid, you know. I had done my research. So anyways, I ended up getting Jackie, and that's that. But how did I learn how to drive manual? So fast forward to 2011, I graduated from community college. One of my buddies, his name is Francisco, Pancho as we call him, he drives a 5th gen Civic sedan, and it's manual. And so he went to my graduation. Afterwards we went to Chili's, and then he's like, hey, I know what your present is gonna be. And I said, what? And then he's like, I'm gonna teach you how to drive stick shift. And I was like, okay, sounds cool. So sure enough, we made it out to my old high school, and he's like, here, you know. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I've seen my brother, I've seen other people drive manual, so I had the idea of it. And yeah, I got on it, no problem. First gear, second, third, fourth. I ended up going around the block. He looks at me, he's like, dude, you know how to drive manual already? I said, no, this is my first time ever driving it. He goes, well, you're good at it, you got this. And I was like, okay, not that hard, right? So on my little test drive out to the street, there was a few stop signs, and it was in the stop signs that I was like, man, I keep freaking, like, you know, close to stalling. I only stalled in one stop sign. And then once we made it back to the parking lot, I was like, okay, I came here first. Yes. I'm like, let me practice first gear. Obviously, that's the gear that, you know, most of us have an issue with. And then it happened. I don't know, I got nervous or whatever, but I was in the parking lot, so that was a good thing. I stalled like 9 different times, back to back to back to back to back to back to back. I could not believe it. This was like, we just give it gas, you know. I was like, I'm giving it gas, you know. And it was just bad. I was like, dude, I'm gonna break your car. Here, take your shit back. He goes, no, you can do it, you know. So anyways, I ended up getting it in reverse. Somehow I was able to put it in reverse, but not in first gear. And then I eventually ended up peeling some tire and got it out. So that wasn't that bad, right? You're like, okay, cool. That was the easy part. Fast forward a long time. Obviously, I don't have a manual car yet. And then I'm finally, you know, I pay all my student loans, and my brother's like, hey, you know, like, it's time for you to you know, get your new car. And whenever you get your new car, get a manual. I don't care what it is, just make sure that you get a manual. And I was like, okay. So, you know, the owner of this car, he's the one who bought this car, not knowing stick shift. And so he ended up learning, and he's like, dude, it's not that bad. Yeah, you'll have some experiences. And so anyways, so he's the one who ends up saying, like, hey, drive a manual car. I'll go test drive it for you if you want, and I'll drive it back. And then, yeah, it's easy once you know, whatever. Cool. So he actually was the one who test drove all the cars that, you know, when I first was looking into an Evo, he's the one who, you know, drove around, made sure that the car felt okay. You know, he obviously put his input into the way the clutch felt, things like that. Just, he knew manual wise a little bit better than I did, so I took his judgment for it. Long story short, we couldn't find the Evo. We ended up at a Subaru dealership. He test drives the STI. I'm in the back seat. I'm like, yes, this is badass. He's like, cool. So he's like, well, I ended up getting the STI. And the funniest thing was, obviously, like you guys know, I live and commuted to work, not every day, but on the weekend. And so we got that car on a weekend. It was like a holiday break. And then my wife and I ended up going on vacation, so the car sat. We come back from vacation, break is over, now I have to go back to work, and obviously I have to drive the new car. And it's a 2-hour drive. And I'm, whatever you want to call it, bricks, and and it just so happens, because that's usually how it goes. It happens that it starts raining that morning. And I was on the road by 3:30 in the morning, 2 hours up to 5, and it starts raining. They closed one of my freeway entrances that I already knew. So we had to go up another freeway, up to 710. I'm like, shit, like I'm sweating. I'm sweating. That morning I did not need coffee. I was like, fuck, man, I don't know how the entrance to the 710 is. Is there a hill? If there's traffic, there has to be traffic. And sure enough, there was traffic. So I just kind of cruised it on second gear. I made it to work. And then the whole day, all I could think about was, how in the hell am I gonna drive that thing home? Now, where I work, good thing, there's no hills. But still, when you're driving stick shift, that's kind of like, you don't care, like even if the road's flat, you're just nervous. You're like, fuck, man. So that's how I was that first day, man. Anyway, so I get off the parking lot. I made sure that I waited till everybody was gone. I remember that day I stayed a little bit later at work. And then I was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna drive my stick shift car. Got off the parking lot, no problem. First stop sign, stalled. And I'm like, all right, cool. Got out of the way, you're done, cool, let's go. And I'm revving the crap out of this freaking car. Now, the STI on a 2018 clutch, the clutch in the 2018 STI, it's honestly, it's perfect. Talking back to my, when I first learned how to drive with my buddy Panchitos, that freaking 5th gen Civic was so delicate. Like, it just kept stalling. My buddy's Accord that I later drove was very forgiving. Like this one. This one's very forgiving. You can take the clutch almost out all the way and the car won't stall. But obviously the STI, it was new. It was grabby, and I stalled in one of the stop signs. Shit, there was cars behind me, and I'm like, trying to go, and so I stall, and then finally I turn on the car again. I rev the shit out of the car and take out the clutch a lot, and kind of just start moving, and I'm like, fuck, there's a roundabout close getting to the house, and there's always traffic there. So what I did that time was, I was gonna keep my distance, so I did. Like, let's say I just really kept my distance, and so that's how I avoided, that first day from stalling the roundabout. And it was a little hilly, so yeah, that's kind of like the story when I first got the STI. I do not recommend getting a brand new car as your car to learn stick shift, but honestly, it was the most forgiving car. I absolutely loved it. Once I got the hang of it, it was like, man, it's obviously fun. Driving stick shift, like let's but I do like the automatic in the sense of, like, sometimes you just kick back and you don't have to worry about anything. From there, obviously, it's not like that one time and then I was perfectly fine. Hell no. I'll tell you guys something so funny. Now looking back, it's funny. I was so demotivated that I kept stalling. So at the time I was working by myself, and so sorry, I'm all sweaty, but I don't want to get wind noise. I was so upset with myself. I was like, damn, did I make a mistake by grabbing a manual car? I'm like, all these different things, And so I read threads. I look up on forum how to drive stick shift. I looked up videos. I'm like, I'm doing all those things, But obviously, when you're starting, like, you want to get. I'm the type of person. I want to get it. I don't want to suffer. I don't want to, be embarrassed. I just want to do it and get it over with. Sure enough, that VTEC power. But sure enough, I read threads on the, and I remember reading this thread by this lady. that she said that, you know, oh my gosh, I bought my first manual car, and it's just like, it's been so bad. It's been 3 months and I still don't get it. And I was like, okay, well, she has 3 months, and, you know, I just got the car. So I was just trying to find every single way to make myself feel better about stalling. And then after that, like I said, just practice. I would go in the afternoons. I was living by myself at the time, so I was like, well, I have the time, and that was all flat road, so I would hug a corner, and there wasn't that many. The lovely thing about the place that I didn't really like working at was the fact that there was a lot of open space, and so it allowed me for me to go and drive no problem. So that sense, it was cool. It was flat roads, empty, and so that's where I learned how to drive stick shift. You know, a lot of stalling. The driving, the 2-hour drive wasn't that bad because it was mostly highway. Ooh, stop sign. But yeah, I mean, obviously looking back, it's like, man, like some good experiences. I think the worst one, like I said, was I guess the worst experience would be when I was at red lights, and I would try to anticipate, you know, before like the first thing I would do when I was learning was like, I would just look at the light. Okay, that one's turning red, so that means it's my turn. I'm just like, okay, you know, I can let go of the clutch a little bit. I think I can, or how much can I let it go? Or I just revving the crap out of the car, like 2,500, 3,000 RPM. I can just hear the car. It's just like, oh shit, man. But yeah, I mean, learning experiences. Worst case scenario, I guess, was what? I'm trying to remember if I ever had a hill where I kept stalling. I think I got lucky. I knew that I was never gonna go all the way to San Francisco to to drive stick shift. To this day, I don't know. I mean, oh shit, I've driven automatics there, and I'm like nervous, just nervous in those hills. But so big props to you guys who drive manual in San Francisco or other areas that have huge hills. But anyways, that was the way I learned how to drive stick shift. I want to know how you started. Any funny stories? And what was the car that you learned? So technically, I guess I would say I learned in a 94, 95 Civic sedan. But I really got the practice that I needed on a 2018 Subaru STI. Absolutely love that car, as you guys know. But part of the reason why I moved out here was part of the plan was selling that car. And yes, I miss it. I mean, it's cool, it's fun. So I am in the market eventually for a new daily, I guess you would say. And it's definitely gonna be manual. No matter what, it's definitely gonna be manual. And so yeah, that's kind of the story I wanted to talk to you guys about today. As usual, we go for the car, we stay for the person. Big shout out to my brother for letting me borrow his car. That way you guys can, you know, see that I guess I do kind of know how to drive manual. I don't know, it's fun. Maybe it was just an excuse for me to drive this car, but I really like his car. I wouldn't mind a 96, 97 manual car, but we'll see. For now, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And yes, it's pretty hot in here, so we'll catch you guys in the next one. Appreciate it. You can see, shoot. Watch right now. Now I'm gonna stall. Calmada. All right. Well, that wasn't that bad. I swear I didn't burn clutch today. So. Actually, reverse. All right, como sorry. Maybe I was nervous.